and we have this coal all over the places. How do we now substitute coal to these states that we are having a lot of environmental problem? Instead of felling trees, they use coal. Thank you.
Well, the women are concerned about cooking, eh? Well done.
Good afternoon, honorable ministers and wonderful audience. I am Mazi Chidikuko from NEI Africa. Honorable Minister, sir, you mentioned about individual miners who want to do business to, first of all, obtain the consent of the community before they could come for registration. I think this is relative, given the fact that you did not give us the background on whether the communities will be sound enough in the area of getting the performance of environmental impact assessment, which will enable them know the hazards that is inherent in that community before they can allow a miner to go into business. Are they having that capacity to develop their own environmental impact assessment before they can now ask the miner to go ahead? That is one. Two, you mentioned in some of the weaknesses you have as high-level informal mining activities, lack of adequate capacity to effectively monitor mining operators. Lack of adequate capacity is from your ministry. That means you don't have enough money to train the personnel who could go to monitor this people. How can government or even Nigerian public or corporate Nigeria help you to get some money to train your personnel to go into the field, because that is key. Finally, I want to take this very issue seriously. I want to commend you because you have raised the level of artisanal group to about 185 group registered. Before you came, it was less than that. We commend you for this. And then finally, we saw...
Thank you. Thank you.
Finally, we saw in a Ebonyi state in January where the government of that state made a provision for what we call stone crushing cluster work scheme. My organization is interested in youth cluster work scheme, and that is why I took special interest. Before that time, they were doing these things individually in different locations. There's health hazard. But within that environment where this mining scheme, where stone crushing was located, there could be health officers going there to take care of their health. That way, I think, if you have not started collaborating with the states, I recommend the Ebonyi State for that very venture. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your questions. May we now invite the Honorable Minister to respond to the questions raised. Honorable Minister, Mines and Steel.
Thank you very much. I must say that you see, this is part of what I started saying before, that when the awareness is there, then you can see the interest building up. When it is not there, you will not have even an idea about what questions to ask. The quality of the questions that come both through the social media, the electronic and physically being asked here clearly shows that the level of information that is out there is something that can be appreciated. And this type of dialogue is what really the sector needs to move forward. Because once Nigerians are aware, that's when now we will be able to build a sector that is owned by Nigerians. Mr. Chairman, I must say I appreciate the quality of the questions that are being asked. And I think to go straight to answering the questions, the issue of the person that sent in this question from Ajaokuta about what the problem with Ajaokuta is. The problem of Ajaokuta, maybe to make it really very clear, is twofold. One, right at the inception of Ajaokuta, certain key issues were left outstanding. These key issues are the issues of raw materials and infrastructure. Because if you can now complete Ajaokuta 100%, even currently there's very little that remains on it. but there are attendant infrastructure requirements that must have to be attended to. And I will tell you what this government is doing. Currently, anybody who is familiar with that will know that the Tape-Wari line is almost up and running. I'm sure my brother will attest to it. He was on the train on that. That particular line was actually established to support steel production in that area. It's this government that completed it. Period to that, not much attention was paid to it. And another sort of infrastructure that needs to be this is infrastructure from mine site to the factory itself. All these raw materials are not packed in one place for you to take. It has to come. This is one aspect of the problem. And these are the issues that this government is currently squarely addressing. We have done, I've shown you in the presentation what we have done with the steel raw material. In fact, we have a whole agency that has been working on steel raw material provision for the sector, and they've done quite a lot. This is how they are able to uncover all those high-grade iron ore and coal locations around the country. This is part of the Ajaokuta program. It's part of the steel production program of this, and this ought to have been done quite a long time ago. It takes this government to come and start addressing those issues squarely. There's also the issue of privatization. Privatization, period to this government, was being taken as if government is tired or is not is feeling weighed down by the demands of funding and the rest of it to some of these facilities, as the result of which just give away without really assessing the person that you are bringing in, what is his capability, what is his level of competence in trying to run these facilities. This is what this government is currently addressing. Whoever is coming to work with us must be somebody who knows the technology of the place, must be somebody who has the skills and the right level of funding support to be able to run that place. This is what we're addressing. But we bogged down with legacy issues, whereby we had to do some cleanup exercise with the previous engagements of other people and this. And thank God, as I'm talking to you now, the legal issues with Ajaokuta is almost concluded, thanks to the current Minister of Justice. It is now that we have taken, there's somebody who was already, you can even see here, somebody talking, he has some contract or something with, these are the issues now we have to start. There are quite a large number of people that are interested in coming in to do one thing or the other. I would want to ask you to, on your own, take a trip to Ajaokuta now. It's not the Ajaokuta that you knew before. Just last week, the governor of Kogi State was there. And what is happening there is on air. What we try to do, since the legal issues that are there did not stop us from operating the place on our own, because we own it, we can't leave it at this. Obsolescence and other issues can accompany this. So what we did is we look at the various sectors of the plant and try to get an MOU, somebody that you will come to us, we will run it, but you own the business. We do a business plan whereby you come to us with this. And there are various, I'm sure you're all aware, recently for us to be able to do that, we have to have a change of management. The management now is a technical management. We are no more interested in administrators and this. We took one of the most experienced engineers that were there from the moment the plant was started and make him to lead the review of whatever is going to be done. And he is now able to understand what can function on its own. Isolate it, discuss with people that he knows in one time or the other, have association with the factory, and try to do something, add value. And all this we are trying to do on zero budgeting. We're not asking government to give us. No, we're doing a business. If you have the sense of business, you will understand how this. Already, we have wire rod mills. We have people that are willing to bring in their billets. We roll it out for them, and then we try to charge them for what we add value. We run the place. We engage the employees. So these are some of the things that are currently going. But going forward, what is the ultimate is for us to get a technically competent person with the right financial support to do it, not privatization in the old guise, whereby all that the government is achieving is no more budgeting money to the facility. No, we want a factory that will work, that is working, and that will be the main objective of the privatization this time. This is what we are doing. I took time to explain this because certain other questions that followed are also basically on the same issue. The second question, procedure for obtaining mining licenses, how long to get a lease, safeguards for this. This is what I said in my presentation. The first thing we try to do is to take mineral title administration outside the bureaucracy of the establish an agency so that they will have the sole responsibility of having to do that administration. If you go to that office now, the guideline for obtaining licenses, including timing, is in a booklet. That booklet is free. Anybody that is filling a mineral title application will have to get that. And this thing is electronic also. You can get it on a CD, you can access their own website. They have a website, you can open and see all these things there. The whole idea here is to let people know how to obtain. Like I said, look, getting information across to people is very important for a sector like this. And this is what we try to do. Get them to access this information and know precisely what is it that they need to do. And like I told you, there are certain mineral rights that it doesn't have to come to me as a minister. We did it in such a way that within those, you can acquire it within the agency. And if you file in an application that has no problem, you have a maximum of 40 days to get a mineral title. Before I met on the ground when I became minister applications that are 5-6 years old. But what we try to do, if you are investing your money, if getting the right to take the decision to invest the money is difficult, that's the first problem that you have in getting investors to come to the sector. So the instrument of decision making to invest must have to be deregulated and made easier for people that would want to come into the sector and act. So this is what we have now. They have a website, they have this, and if you check through the presentation, you see we give ideas and information about it. And this thing is open for anybody. It's one area because we realized it was one thing that has been stopping people from really coming in. So we addressed it squarely right at the beginning of this government to make sure that people are comfortable with the way these things are being done. The next question is Musa from Lafia, who asked about the coal, the mining of coal. I made in the presentation, since the closure of the coal mines in Enugu, for all this while, there have not been coal mining except the coming of this government. I'm specifically mentioned, currently those that are familiar with that, there is a coal mine in Meganga that is being heavily exploited. In fact, the Ashaka cement now fire their kilns 60% on coal. And there are quite a number of cement factories now that use coal to fire their kilns. There is a coal mine in Okobo. For those that are familiar with mining, not Okaba. The coal mine that we are familiar with in the old NCC edition is Okaba. This one is a greenfield mine discovered by this dispensation and is currently producing coal and is supplying coal to some of the cement companies. It was actually established for the purpose of power production. But it's a long way between our own responsibility is to make coal available as a fuel for power production. It goes beyond our responsibility, the establishment of the power plants themselves. So we have a lot of cooperation to do between us and Ministry of Power. But I'm saying currently we have 2 full-fledged coal mining locations. And the issue of the cockable coal that this is the one that I presented, the Obilafia. And we are seriously working on it. Because what we realize with the Obilafia coal is that the further we work on it, the better the quality of the coal gets. This is why it is consistently interesting us. And we have the feeling that it will get to be coking coal. Currently, it is cockable coal, which means you can import a small quantity of coking coal, mix it with it, you'll be able to use it for steel making. But it is getting to a point where itself is cooking. A lot of work is currently being driven in that direction, and we believe that with the tenacity we are putting in it, we are going to succeed. And if we are able to get coking coal, it means that we have still making raw material 100% in the country, and this is the target we have. The other question is the procedure of reporting to the ministry on any mineral finds. I made it clear earlier. It's because of these consistent questions that we keep receiving about people bringing one sample or the other to us that we introduced the mineral clinics. Because the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency is the agency with the widest number of offices, and it's a professional agency. That is why we asked them that every last Saturday of the month, they must open their offices in all the nooks and crannies of the country, so that people that want to ask questions, people that have sampled rocks and so on that they want assessed or they want an information about, can reach them. This is in addition to the fact that you can go to our officers at any point in time and seek this advice. We have federal mines officers in the 36 states of the Federation and Abuja, and all those officers, some of them exist in the federal secretariats of the states, some of these exist in private buildings, but these are all accessible. And during these mineral clinics, you will get a list showing where all our associated offices are. If we have an office that has to deal with mineral title, you will see their allocation. If we have an office that deals with laboratory issues, you see their address and that. So even apart from the geoscience data information exchange, there is also information exchange on our facilities and our offices during this time. So just be on the, it's always advertised in the newspapers. We send a reminder, though we do it consistently on the last Saturday of every month, we also make sure that within the week preceding that Saturday, we put up an announcement reminding people that the clinic is going to take up. We give the time period within which the office will be open. It's normally in the morning until late in the evening it closes. So these are the ways that you can make contact with us to get further information on this. The issue of importing mining, this is why I said, you see, the level of information going out is get to a point whereby you see we still feel uncomfortable about really not doing enough. Because one of the areas of encouragement, one of the areas of support to invest in the mining sector is that all mining equipment that you are bringing into the country are duty-free. So the person that is asking the question definitely is not familiar with our laws, is not familiar with our regulations, and is not familiar with our activities, because this is one thing we kept saying. Sometimes even people that have mineral licenses and are importing equipment are not too familiar with this. What you need to do, if you want to import mineral mining equipment, you write to the ministry directly. It is the ministry's responsibility to make a presentation to the Minister of Finance. If the Minister of Finance is convinced about the level of equipment, sometimes they ask us questions. Most of the areas where we have problems are in the areas of vehicles. Somebody will have a mining lease and he will associate 40 trucks to it. But the value, the size of the mining lease will not accommodate more than 3-4 trucks. So immediately you see this, you know that there is something going on. So these are some of the areas that the Ministry of Finance normally send back to us to clarify or to make comments about certain things. But all mining equipment that you are bringing into the country are duty-free. But what you must present is your copy of your own mineral license and your own program of work. Because your program of work will support, you will not get relief for mining equipment while you have an exploration license. Exploration license will only allow you to import rigs and associated equipment for exploration work. It will not allow you to import mining equipment, excavators and the rest. You don't need them for exploration. So this is what you need. These are some of the confusion that somebody will just bring in any license and then he will put so many issues together, and when it is rejected, you feel as if. So you have to understand really that the people that are processing it are actually mining experts. And they know what equipment you require for what type of mineral, what equipment you require for what size of lease. The cadastre unit size of your own title is what gives you the idea of the type of equipment that you require. So actually the person asking this question need to look at some of our information documents. The issue of mining ponds. Yes, this is a very good question, but I'll tell you why mining ponds exist. It's because the previous laws that we have did not compel mining companies to recover those. It was done inside because most of it is colonial based, and all they do is exploit and go. And when they do the mining, they are not compelled even by law to recover. But what we did is to change it, that is the responsibility of the mining company now to make good all the activities they are able to carry out. In fact, one of the things you must give us on getting a mining lease is your recovery plan, your environmental remediation plan. You must have to give it to us, and this is why as you are progressing, we are not waiting until when you finish, so that you finish and run away. No, as you are progressing, you will start recovering. I think a very good example of this is for somebody to go to Ashaka Cement where they are mining their limestone. You will see a very good recovery plan there. They have a nursery for trees. They have a forestry officers established. As they are going, they are recovering the land and making them into very nice looking forests. These are some of the issues that we brought into the picture to be able to take care of. Meanwhile, the legacy issues, we have taken an inventory of all the abandoned mine pits in the country. And what we are trying to do is between us and Ministry of Environment, we are looking at them with a view to doing an exercise that will take care. We as a ministry, we try to take them. Like I said, when I made mention of issues of funding challenges, these are some of the areas. We will not mind getting all the funds we require to go and recover all the mines. But what we are getting on an annual basis, we always have one program or the other going on mine reclamation. And as I'm talking to you now, we are finishing one and we are doing studies on 3 others, and depending on how funds come to us, we proceed in doing this. We are not going to wait until the whole thing is done. We proceed. But there are legacy issues. They are not what is being left now. Whoever is working now, it is his responsibility to this. So ours is oversight to make sure that you don't just run away and leave them like that. The issue of illegal miners and quarries, if you look, even the registration of cooperative groups is actually to address the issue of illegal mining. It is very easy for a single individual to go about doing his own thing, whether right or wrong. But if you have a group of people, you'll be able to schedule them in such a way that you can instruct them, you can educate them, you can redirect them to be able to do things the way that is right. So we are addressing it. The best way you can address it is by trying to educate people to do the right thing. Let them come together, and in doing that, you show them how much value they can add to what they are doing. Because the incentive there is that you get better value, you do things in a better way, then you will do it if you are just running around doing your own thing. These are some of the things we impact to them. Even sometimes mineral identification, processing, extraction, and so on, they just do it anyhow, and you end up getting just a portion of what you would have gotten. But trying to educate them and showing them they can get better, this is what brings them. Otherwise, what incentive would they have to come and join cooperatives and so on and so forth? It's because there are benefits in it. And this is some of the, it's not easy to just say you are illegal miners and get the police and start chasing you. They go deeper. Like I told you earlier on, this is currently the problem that Ghana is facing. They're trying to stop illegal mining using police and so on, and bringing all sorts of clashes and fights and so on. So, but we are addressing it in such a way, and these are some of the legacies that we got from our World Bank project. They come in and introduce incentives that will make people to come together, will make people to start to work together and see the benefit of doing that, and that is what will eliminate it. It has happened for a very long time. Like I said, sometimes it is not just the discovery of oil and gas that affected the sector. No, our own policy decisions at various points in time also contributed. So it is a very long-lasting thing that it will take time to clean up, and we have to clean it up sustainably. Not today you stop somebody from doing it here and then he jumps into that place and then he jumps, and you find yourself dissipating a lot of energy in trying to stop that. But if you do it in a sustainable manner, it is the people themselves that get out of it and get into a proper scheme of trying to do this. So this is something, and this is why part of the institutional restructuring, we have a small in jobs for geologists and chemical engineers and so on. From time to time, we've been outside the ambit of government. We don't have the resources to just go out and employ everybody. But what we do is that, because I recall, I personally wrote a letter to the president of the Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, that anybody within his society without a job should register with him and let us have the names. In fact, as I'm talking to you now, I knew that Aisha Cement wrote to us asking for mining engineers to employ. And we sent some of those that registered, we sent some of their names to them. So it's not as if ours is a highly skilled sector. We need to replace some of the why we are achieving what we are achieving now is because some of the more senior professionals are trained in some of the best institutions. At a point in time, the Nigerian Mining Corporation, the Ministry of Petroleum, and the Mines Department of the Ministry of Power sent quite a large number of engineers to study in Cambon, to study in Imperial, to study in Canada, to the best training institutions in the world. And these people are moving forward and they are living. And it's one of the reasons why we got the World Bank. Somebody asked a question about what we are training the youth at. The Nigerian Mining Institute in Jos had been, in fact, even in February this year, they had an advert in the newspapers to train people in various areas of mining. So sometimes, like I said, is that you need to have it in your mind that the information is out there. The issue of seeking for the information to know it, it is out there. The Nigerian Institute of Mining in Geosciences in Jos, it was is just on its second entrance of this, and they are introducing various skill acquisition trainings. Listen, if you go to our exhibition here, you will see gemstones that are cut. Period to this time, these gemstones were being smuggled out of this country raw. It is the coming of Jonathan's government that the laboratory in that institute was established and people were taught, and that is why you have cut and polished gemstones outside there. And these are some of the things that people, you have never seen us doing any exhibition and you see polished gemstones displayed. If you go out there, you see it. And this is as the result of training. And these are from the youth. They are from the youth. You don't have to be a mining engineer. It was clear when we did the advert. You have to be interested. If you are interested, you can do. And that training is open. In fact, we have now regulated it on a state-by-state basis. A state government can ask us to come and train so-so number of this in so-so areas of this. And we ask the management of the institute to move there and do this training. So one of the major areas that we have concern about is the development of the skills, so that we will be able to supply local skills to even international mining companies when they come. That's where we get value. And that's where we now, this is how we challenge. We are not going around like they are doing in Ghana now, fighting the Chinese and trying. No. What we do today is to make sure we have the skills. So you don't come with a bunch of Chinese and say they are going into this. If you are coming, we have people that are already trained to be able to do those things that are doing. So we have this training. And even in the area of metallurgy and metals and metallurgy, we have, I just mentioned, the training that we give to the Niger Delta youth. And this institute is open and is consistently on annually they are making announcements. There is a skill acquisition institute. And I'm telling you, if you go to Onitsha now, talk to any, you know how industrious that area is. Talk to them about the value that institute is adding to this. Sometimes we have this feeling, we need to integrate, people need to move about. Somebody from Sokoto, you ask him to go there and train, he will first start thinking, how will he survive in this? Let him go. We have people there. The last time we did a stakeholder forum there, we find most of the people that go there and train from other parts of the country hardly live there. They find jobs to do around there because the environment there is rife for them to work. So they don't have to go back to their places. These are areas that we need to, for the youth. You need to look, you need to try. If you see an advert on those guys, don't just brush it aside. Try to look through and see what value you can take out of it. Or this. We are making effort to this, but the training facilities are really there. And what we need to do is to appreciate it and try to take advantage of it so that we can improve on our life. And the issue of local miners and community. These are all some of these. The local miners need information to be able to operate. And the issue of communities. Somebody talked about the awareness of the communities to this. One of the things in the standard document is that the community itself cannot finally go into a community development agreement without legal advice. So there must be a legal person behind. It's not just, we are aware of those, even within the community you can have conflicts. So what we introduce is there must be a legal support for those people to be able to do this. The issue of Explosives Act, this is currently, just not too long ago, we did a stakeholder forum to present the draft of the changes that we are doing. So we are also working on that to make sure that this, the issue of the ministry being an revenue income base, and this is what I'm saying. We need to build it to that level. We cannot just sit up now and say that, look, it is this. We have to do some work. And some of the things we are doing currently is what we believe are the right things to do for the ministry to be able to perform that role in future. The issue of roads importation and these are issues of economy. And this is why currently even the infrastructure development build-up and this is being integrated. For you to be able to produce roads, and so all the economies of production need to be in place. So it's not just a matter of producing iron roads and this. No, there are economies there. Even sometimes you find importation and production. So you have to work through the issues to be able to get to a point whereby it is productive to produce and then get the employment, and this is what we do. The biggest thrust in trying to see that power is available is all towards those kind of issues like this. The issue of NCC is a government policy decided to privatize, and I made my comments about privatization and what we are trying to change. And this comes to the issue of briquette producing also. The briquette producing facilities that we have were associated with coal corporation in Enugu, and when they were privatized to people that just dismantled those things and took them away. Currently, there is one subsisting, and we now intervened and say it will not be go in the other way. We must get it to work. And currently, between us and the BPE, are discussing with interested individuals to see that they work. And one of the current coal-producing sites have already gotten a clearance on mining equipment for the establishment of the briquette factory, because that is also part of what we are looking at. So we are on the way. We are all familiar with all those value chains that we can bring into any available value chain that we can take advantage of is in the picture. The production of coal briquette is in the picture. We have an existing one that we intend to privatize and must make sure it works, and we have one that we have already given clearance for the importation of the equipment for the establishment of the factory. He has already gotten the clearance. They are coming into the country. The mine location is already working. I think I'm being threatened with his time. The issue of, I think, addressing the issue of illegal mining, I have made comment on that. Assisting community on land leasing. Yes, mining leases always have compensation. And some of them, it is part of the community development agreement, the issue of compensation. And like I said, legal advice is always necessary for us to be able to do that. So compensation is also within that. And the issue of, yes, super concentrate, I think I mentioned it it's just that there is no time to go into detail on it, but it's somewhere in this is where we want to get the Delta Steel to start working, because this is a production line that will give feedstock to Delta Steel, and then we'll be able to stop production from scrap and be able to produce iron. And I think the legal issue that I said we are also about to close up is also part of what we require to be able to do that. So I think these issues are there in the issue of our coal. It's not coal, only coal. There are many other minerals. If you allow the foreign companies to come, they will complain the quality of it. And this is why we are having a very aggressive laboratory program, so that these minerals will be tested, examined, and the quality of it established by us. Because most of this is just to be able to downplay it so that it can be taken out of the country for next to nothing. They will downplay this. When you start talking about minerals being tampered with by other residues, technology has already gone beyond that. You don't talk about, you are now talking about clean coal. coal that has no impact on the environment, then if you are talking of that, then you can now look at it side by side with when you talk about ash content or sulfur content or this. You are talking of clean coal that has no impact on the diesel. So it is for somebody to come and tell you that your coal has this. You know, it's behind technology. Technology has taken care of that, and this is why we are not bothered. What we are bothered about is that the analysis of our minerals will have to be done in our country, so that somebody will not go there, cook up results, and come back to us and say this is what it is. We are putting. That's why the Kaduna laboratory is up and doing. Currently, we are looking for an international operator that will have the seal, because that's the global requirement. You must have somebody who has the seal of authority to stamp result. Then it can go anywhere in the world as a good result, not just in our country. This is what the state.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. He is an architect turned mining engineer, and you'll agree with me, he has engineered that sector so well. Let's once more put our hands, ladies and gentlemen, for Architect Musa Mohammed Sada, the Honorable Minister of Mines and Steel Development, for a job well done. Thank you very much, sir. May I now invite the Honorable Minister to react to his own area and make the concluding remarks. Honorable Minister, information.
Well, thank you very much, my brother and colleague, Architect Sada. You took almost 3 hours alone. And it really tells us the kind of activities that are going on in all the MDAs. We were supposed to have 3 ministries today. Now, if we had brought in power and petroleum, I'm not sure that we would have had enough time to really listen to some of the very many activities we have had today going on just in the mining and steel sectors. And it's important for Nigerians to follow. That's why when we say the economy is growing, it's growing because we know there are so many activities that are taking place in all the key sectors. Now look at the figures for today. Just from this sector, you have within this year developed 2 new coal mines, the Etazuma coal mine and the Meganga coal mines. They're already producing coal for industrial activities in the country, and a number of other activities are also going on. The number of quarries have moved up to about 1,710 sites, around the country. And it's interesting for youth to know that the minister is reporting 1,254,200 new jobs created in mining. Created, 1,254,200 jobs in rural mining activities in the country. So we can see that there are opportunities that are emerging even as this sector is yet, to fully tap its own potential for national development. We are seeing new momentum, new activities. Now, you also see that Nigeria, under the period, produced 54,410 metric tons of steel by the private sector. 54,410,000 metric tons of steel produced in our country by various steel plants under this period in Nigeria. Now, you can see that a lot of economic activity. You remember when the president went to Ogun State to commission Wemco coal steel plants, producing 700,000 metric tons of steel per annum. That's just one plant, that has been commissioned recently by Mr. President. And there are several other steel plants that are coming on that are already producing steel. So while we're looking at Ajakuta, which is a government steel plant, we must understand that in this period we have had, geometrical increase in local steel production coming from private companies that are now operational because of government's reforms that have made steel production very conducive in the country. Now, if you look at the reforms that have been brought into this sector, you will see that what is required is not how much money government puts into a particular sector, but what are the policy measures that have been put in place to make the sector attractive to private sector participation. So here today we have had, and this is instructive because a lot of people say so many things in the country. You now have a situation where Nigeria is leading in transparency in the extractive mineral sector. The extractive mineral sector, now Nigeria is leading in transparency, accountability in its rules, in its licenses, and all the other administrative issues and operations in this sector. Now this is important. Now it shows that when you have the right laws and regulations in place, corruption is fought through a process, through a due process. And I want to urge my colleague, to put the pressure here so that what had developed in the oil sector, we can avoid in the mine sector. Once we have transparency there, actors can come in and invest. And you have also seen that because of the reforms, the big-time miners are now coming into Nigeria, from Australia, from United States, from South Africa, from Canada. The big-time companies are now coming into Nigeria to invest in our mine sector. This is real good news for our country, both in terms of job creation, income, and industrial development. Now, you will see also from the report that we got today, new minerals have been discovered because of new geometric, new data that have been put in place as a result of surveys. Now, we see that our country is far more richer than we presume it to be. It's just that at the present level, we really don't even know how much Nigeria is worth. But as we continue now to advance investment in this area through survey, new data, we will see that in the future, I can tell you that the mines will fetch this country more money than oil and gas. The potential is here. And it's clear now that everybody is beginning to realize this development. Now, I really cherish also the effort government is making in Ajakuta. A lot of things are taking place. Getting the place working through the initiative of the ministry is very important, rather than letting those plants remain dormant. And they can also go rust if you just leave them like that. Now, a lot of using internal capacity, we're doing some activity there where we're resolving the legal issues surrounding the leasing of that company. So a lot of activities are going on. I can confirm that it is true that the rail line linking Etakwe, Jakuta to Warri has been substantially completed. We rode on it during the National Good Governance of Delta State. So let me again commend both the Ministry of Transport and your ministry for what you are doing in getting this sector back to life, particularly through these increased activities. So we believe that from what the president has done and is doing in reform, and so what we are doing is to ensure that we keep our floor clean so that you don't have a lot of sugar on the floor to invite ants and cockroaches. And these reforms are very important in dealing with the issue. So let me indeed thank all of us for our patience and our attention for today. We have seen clearly, huge developments taking place in our country. And we will continue this session on Thursday, and we are continuing until the end of the month. And like I told you a few days ago, some parastatals that stand alone, which are doing great jobs for this country, will also be invited. Such as TED Fund, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, such as MDGs. They are doing such great jobs. If you look at TED Fund, what it is doing in the universities, in polytechnics, and colleges of education across the country will amaze you. The number of new projects being delivered and the investment government is making to create new infrastructure in the education sector. So I invite you to continue to pay attention. But I'm particularly happy because interest is increasing in this program. Look at the quality of questions, look at the quality of participation, and look at also the impact of social media in drawing Nigerians and interested people across the world to participate in this program. So let me assure you that we can only go forward, we won't be moving back. But the most important point here is accountability. getting ministers to come and relate to Nigerians what they are doing and answer questions from all over the world is something new in our country. And it is forcing us to work. For everyone to come and stand here, you must be sure of what you have done last year. So you can see that this ministerial platform and the National Good Governance Store has compelled everyone to stand up and be counted on the mandate that has been given to you. And that is the only way that this country can develop and move forward. So this set of ministers, I can assure you, my colleagues,
of Mines and Steel, the Honorable Minister of Information, my colleague, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 Ministerial Platform expectedly has generated so much interest here at home and abroad, being closely followed by all classes of stakeholders, our diaspora brethren and the international community. The large turnout again today is as a result of the intrinsic interest and value which each class has in our country, Nigeria, and importantly because of the quality and content of the presentations and the integrity of the persons making them. On that score, ladies and gentlemen, a special thanks go to the Honorable Minister of Mines and Steel, Architect Musa Sada, for his brilliant showing which has left Nigerians fully and sufficiently enriched. Indeed, the Honorable Minister has opened our eyes as Nigerians to the sector of the future, the sector that will sustain the economy for us and for our children yet unborn. I want to thank in the like manner the Honorable Minister of Information, Mr. Labaran Maku, for his tenacity and resilience. Not only did he work hard to get the ministerial platform implanted as a tenet of good governance, sitting through the series of presentations is actually not a mean feat. Ladies and gentlemen, I remarked earlier on the rapt attention of the viewing public to the ministerial platform broadcast. This has been so consequent on the quality of transmission and reportage by the electronic media, notably the NTA, FRCN, VON, AIT, channels, television, several other radio stations, as well as the social media and online reporters. The print media has equally been on top of their beats, writing stories from various angles, and it is our hope that you will equally accord today's excellent session large space and lingering post-event publicity. Please accept on behalf of the ministry our very sincere gratitude. Finally, I want to thank my colleague, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Mines and Steel, and all the accompanying officials from the ministry, the Chief Executive Officers and top management of the parastatals here present, various stakeholders, civil society organizations, and indeed all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for once again attending this program. Thank you and God bless you all.
We thank our Permanent Secretary for thanking us. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of this program. Can we all now rise for the national anthem? Please remember to be back on Thursday. We're featuring the Federal Ministry of Education and